So I have a problem. I want games to be more accessible. Games have accessibility options for people who are physically disabled in some way, from something like color blindness or even a missing limb. Typically, there are adjustments made for games that allow for more people to play, like a color blindness mode or a more suitable control scheme. People who wouldn't be able to pick up and play just any game feel a lot more at ease picking up something with considerations for them, or at least something that is more suitable to them. To give an example, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time is Food for Dogs. I don't consider myself a fan of traditional RPGs, but she has definitely opened my eyes to how to appreciate them. You don't see too many hardcore gamers her age, unless you're counting Candy Crush, and she's as hardcore as they come, with a library of knowledge and some light research going into each of her videos. The only thing getting in the way of her relationship with video games is her condition. As she gets older, her hand sort of cranes into a certain position by default. You can definitely imagine how a limited amount of hand movement could shape what games you're more inclined to pick up. She might be a bit of an outlier anyway, because she doesn't let that stop her from picking up certain action games and trying them. But I could never fault anybody for refusing to pick up a game that doesn't cater to their hands, their disability. Despite her appreciation for and willingness to look for games outside of her genre, it's clear to me that she feels a lot more at home with a game that focuses on world, story, and a properly fleshed out turn-based combat system. Customization in the demanded button prompts or a button layout really helps out people like our lovely lady here. Why would you want to exclude her anyway? She's cute as a button.
And I decided to be brave today and show you the other side of my gaming room. So this is what it looks like now.
I'm not well learned or researched on this topic. I'm really just going with my gut here. But there's a fantastic playlist of videos by Game Maker's Toolkit that highlights various issues for disabled players that could be resolved with simple solutions from developers. One of his videos covers helping those with cognitive disability. Talking about cognitive disability in games becomes a tricky one because an obvious and frankly undeservedly controversial solution is the inclusion of an easy mode, or something similar. Those with cognitive disability might be unable to process information as quickly as the average gamer. They may not have the ability to remember what is being asked of them just moments prior. It's difficult for me to go over everything that could be affecting a player negatively because there is no set in stone level of cognitive function for everyone with the term disabled. It's different for everybody. That's why I believe that there should be a variety of options always available. I'm about to praise some things that aren't popular, so bear with me. Are you ready? I don't know if you're ready. Are you okay? Ubisoft. Hey, easy, man. Easy. With as much hate that Ubisoft gets, there's a reason that their big releases are widely popular. For players who allocate like a few hours to gaming a week, who might have gotten a console as a gift or got it for their kids, having a map of absolutely everything and being able to filter it out can be incredibly helpful. Not only is it convenient for them, it's also very helpful for players who are unable to find their way around just through landmarks. Players who can casually turn on a game at any time, like a half hour before they have to go to work, are aided by the constant refreshers from quest givers over some sort of comms device. And if not that, I know this is a trope, but the main character repeating the quest objective to themselves or giving themselves advice. These constant reminders are fantastic for those who are unable to remember what was just told to them, whether that be from time constraints or actual disability. I know having something like that baked into the game can be annoying, but I believe that there should at least be an option to include something like that. I'm not pulling these examples out of thin air either. My brother struggles with a disorder that remains very present in his life. It's called Kabuki syndrome. Kabuki syndrome is a rare disorder that people are born with. The name of the syndrome comes from traditional forms of Japanese theater, kabuki. The reason it's called this is that people born with this disorder have distinct facial features which are reminiscent of those exaggerated facial features of those with face paint in kabuki theater. Usually this will result in monolid eyes. This disorder has left my brother with both cognitive and motor disabilities. He can't move or react as fast as me. He's unable to learn new things without weeks of repetition. Trying anything new is a weeks-long uphill battle. It shouldn't be surprising that he prefers games that feature heavy repetition like sports games or WWE. The time cost of him getting into a brand new game is far greater than the cost of an average gamer. He has the unfortunate situation of falling outside of the category for what most people consider universally good accessibility options. I'm not exaggerating when I say that my brother needs countless in-game advantages to begin to enjoy it. So when I see games with an accessibility mode, which is essentially just an easier mode, I get excited and I show my brother. I was watching my brother play Dusk, and hopefully I'll have some gameplay of his showing on screen. He was really getting into it, and I could tell that he was really excited to actually get into a first-person shooter. He had played Doom Eternal on the easiest difficulty, but even that was just too hard sometimes, taking up to an hour for some encounters. He didn't end up completing the first stage, sadly. I just heard about there being a crazy good aim assist in it though, so I'll probably see if he can play it again with those options. We also played Gears of War 5, but it really just turned into me carrying most fights, picking him up when he's constantly downed and standing and waiting for him to see me so I can lead him to the proper direction before we progress. I heard from Leadhead that David Szymanski actually created an accessibility mode in Dusk for his brother to finally be able to play his games. And good God if that doesn't fucking resonate with me. God bless his soul. Also, I'm really glad it's called accessibility mode and not something rude like bitch baby mode. I know it could be funny to see something like that in a menu, but to only be able to play that due to a limited ability can be incredibly hurtful. So thank you to everybody who uses some proper terminology. My favorite game is Elden Ring, and I don't know if I'll ever get to share that game with my brother in an official way. And I say official because I'm genuinely thinking of installing mods just to see him enjoy it. I know that there is a vision for Elden Ring and other games of that genre, the triumph of overcoming hardship. But what about people who physically can't, and may physically never be able to? A separate mode surely wouldn't hurt anybody, right? It wouldn't even be a compromise. It would be split from the intended experience of the game, and it would state that fact. It'll say something like, this is not the intended experience. This is assist mode, accessibility mode, story mode. I genuinely think that every game is just a little worse off having not included accessibility features, including, but not limited to, difficulty options. When I was a kid, I had heard that I was getting a younger brother. I was really excited. I thought of the hours of fun we would have playing Melee or Mario Kart. I wondered what age he could finally start playing games, since I heard from my dad that I played and beat Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country when I was like 3 or 4 years old. By the time he was 4, they made it clear that my brother wasn't like me. By the time he was 7, I knew we could never play video games together like I wanted to. Which was a shame because video games were my life back then. And even today, it plays a huge part in it. To not be able to share my favorite hobby with my brother was heartbreaking. That is until games like Dusk came out. Games like Celeste included an option to slow down the game. Games like Hades included a God mode, which is still tough, but actually playable for him. Right now, I'm watching him play Ghost of Tsushima a few hours a week. I still have to point him in the right direction for objectives because he doesn't always register the guiding winds, which guides you to your selected destination. He's also unable to do the bamboo challenges. He just hands over the controller at that point. They even take me a couple tries though. That doesn't mean he won't sit there and try for 10 minutes to do it on his own though. He was able to learn the basics of combat and can get through most with a few attempts on the easiest difficulty. He keeps at it because he enjoys the atmosphere and the visual of a lone samurai cutting down an invading force. The boss fights also seem to be as intense and rewarding to him as they were intended to be. He'll continue to play games that he's able to, but I genuinely hope that as many games as possible allow him to play too. I'm Frogwater. Thank you for watching. And before I go, I just wanted to say I was really shocked that I got a few hundred subs overnight from the Dark Souls video. Most of my videos aren't going to be as long or as thoughtful though, so we'll see how I'll do going forward. I really appreciate the comments as well. I was responding for a while, but when I realized that they weren't going to stop coming, I had to step away, so sorry about that. See you in a week or two when I do a mini review on Darkest Dungeon 2.
Okay, so what I liked about Ghost of Tsushima was that I could beat up all the Mongolians.
Yeah.
That was fucking fun.
Yeah.
And exploring everywhere. Golly, that was fun.
Is it cool?
Yeah.
I'm glad, bro.
Yeah, I definitely gotta watch. You think you're gonna beat it?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I can't wait. All right, thank you, man.